I'm tired of the sirens, sick and tired of the sirens, and they annoy me. They get in the way of my hearing the explosions and how close they are.
Fear, shock, shaking.
She was, because we were going to plan to go away for Shabbos, and she was afraid to leave the protected room.
My whole being, my spirit, my level of energy. Every day I hear these boom, boom, booms, and it's all day long. And I'm wondering where it comes from, and not being in the know, not knowing.
To be woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning to hear a siren going off, or before you're getting ready to go to bed.
Well, now she's freaked out. She's terrified. She, we went to visit a friend, and somebody closed the door behind, and she ran and said, "Ah, Kedusha!" Like she's terrified of these.
And you said the door wasn't even slammed; it was just closed like.
Right, it was somebody's front gate, and they closed it.
The fact that nobody's around, the emptiness of the city.
It's nice to talk about not feeling disrupted in your mind and body, but what we found is the people that are living in this war reality just don't have the tools to actually dispel the disruption. Israel Trauma Care's role is to teach the tools that really work to actually dispel this disruption and restore self-regulation and self-control skills so people have a sense of feeling safe. Almost 5 years ago, Dr. Yisrael Yaffa, osteopath Avram Gundel, and neurotherapist and Meridian Therapies trainer Emmanuel Legomsky started Israel Trauma Care with a vision. Rabbi Legomsky's founding vision was based on the conclusions of modern trauma medicine, that trauma always has a fight, flight, or freeze response, which is a disruption in the body that then prevents people from thinking and acting and feeling straight. We looked for techniques that could both remediate terror trauma and war trauma, as well as be trainable to the masses, that people will learn to be able to self-regulate and help themselves and those around them. We've already treated over 6,000 citizens, and we've trained close to 300 facilitators. We've designed very specific projects for the Northern War Zone, mobile facilitator teams for the whole country, and to target the military, the medical, the educational systems. We're out to systematically enable the Israeli people with techniques that work to be able to know what to do when terror and war strikes. Because there's another siren going off right now. So let's work with that sound. And now we're hearing that siren. So what we're feeling, we want to hook into now. We want to do it, okay? This is live from Spot with the bomb siren, the awful, hideous siren sound, that terrible sound. Even though I'm anxious and fearful. And where is it? In my chest, in my stomach, wherever it is for you.
I was more concerned about my daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she wasn't with me when the first rocket hit. And it hit while she was, it was not too far from her, maybe 100 meters from her.
In the end, the reaction, what the result of this was that your 9-year-old daughter, Hannah, what happened to her?
Well, now she's freaked out. She's terrified. You talked to me about basically not to communicate so much, because that's a little bit too much for her right now, and just basically to work on, I don't know how you call it, the technique.
EFT, emotional
the
freedom,
EFT,
with tapping,
just to focus on the tapping. Just mainly just holding her. If we hear a siren, if we hear a Katusha, just to sit and hold her and do the tapping.
I deeply and completely, I love my mommy, and it's fun to be together now. And Hashem is with us here, protecting us. Right. Even though I get frightened, when I hear that awful siren, when they try and hurt us, it makes us get closer together. And that's good, isn't it? Pamela just told us that the work that we just did, she was feeling comfortable, she had no fear, and nothing was going on. But you were holding her.
Right.
What did you feel?
Well, I could tell when the siren was going off, she was very stiff and holding herself very tightly. And I could tell by the time she finished, when she said she wasn't afraid because her body was very relaxed. At the beginning, it was very tense. I could feel her arms, her back, everything was, she was holding herself very tightly. But I noticed this time, I was in the room, I think twice, or maybe 2 times in a row simultaneously. We heard the siren this afternoon.
Right.
So I sat in the room with the kids, and the 3 of us, we just looked at each other, and I smiled very warmly at them, and they all smiled back. And it's like I already have a warm association, like we're all together, we're all smiling, we're all together as a family.
I myself was in a terror action, and I helped myself with this. It was great. I don't have any fear from it. It doesn't come with me anywhere.
After the treatment, or during the treatment, the pain slowly got more focused in certain areas. I wasn't feeling that the pain was wrapping me all around.
In few minutes I could help people. In few minutes I gave them the tool, I showed them, I did it with them, and they were relaxed. A woman could sleep at night, she could come back to the children, she could have the strength to do that.
I had just begun Rav Lagomsky's EFT course, thinking it would be useful in my arsenal of parenting techniques and as a trainee health kinesiologist, when my family suffered a terribly traumatic experience that affected primarily my husband and son. My husband was so badly shaken that he became not literally but practically paralyzed, unable to work or function. The next day, the day I was taking the second of the EFT classes, I told Rav Lagomsky that he had to come over and see my husband, which he did. He sat with both my husband and later my son, and after his session, my husband was able to get up and resume life. It gave him the strength to continue. I'm so lucky that I was on this course, as I was able to continue EFT with both my husband and son and enable them to get past the trauma and deal with their many feelings and concerns about their situation.
Of a child that had been killed by a car, and I was supposed to go to the parents and tell them about that their child died. And for me it was very hard. I was needed to, as a social worker, to say to the parents that their child was killed. I went to a few psychologists and it didn't help me. And then I tried briefing and many things and it didn't help. And then I tried EFT and it helped me a lot and it solved the problem, and I felt that I came back to myself.
Usually when I hear it, you know, of course my heart beats faster. That's what I felt most of the time. But, I mean, it still beats faster, but when I shift into thinking and using a technique that can help calm down, I think it works.
But I have found it extremely helpful and very rewarding practice.
If they use the course properly, they would be able to learn how to handle themselves and other people.
It's only been about a half an hour since I finished the class, but I tried it on my 4-year-old. She was, because we were going to plan to go away for Shabbos, and she was afraid to leave the protected room to go on the bus. And so I told her I'd do this with her. And in a few minutes already, she was ready to sit down and eat lunch. It was very good.
In trauma medicine, we learned how to get to someone that is in trauma. With EFT, we learned how to treat someone with trauma.
I was driving in my car in Jerusalem, and suddenly a bus came from my right and hit my car very strongly. I flew forward in the car and I landed back in my chair with terrible neck and back ache. So the first thing I did is I took my cell phone and I called Rabbi Legumsky, and over the phone we worked on the tapping points, and Rabbi Legumsky asked me exactly the deepest questions that I needed to be asked and I needed to deal with. And after we worked for about 5 minutes while I was still sitting in the car before I was taken to the hospital, it freed me. It enabled me to get out of the car, to stand up, to see that I'm able to walk, that I'm not paralyzed, that nothing terrible happened to me, and I was able to continue on with my life. And I want to thank Rabbi Legumsky very much for doing so. I'm sure that using this system will help children, soldiers, elderly people, anybody that needs immediate help to overcome a deep fear that they have and to continue function in their everyday life.
Well, I just want to say that it works.
When many civilian city buses were being blown up in Israel and the terror was at its height, Israel Trauma Care began as a non-profit vision of several mental health professionals. We need your support. You can put your name on an Israel Trauma Care project and make it yours, and we can make it happen together.